I think a lot of times there's a pressure to move to other states and lose your identity as a Bostonian, probably because of the like historical like reputation that Boston has had, especially in music, but particularly in hip hop. And I think there might be some urge to like remove yourself from that and then, you know, go to LA and get attached to the machines that are out there and be associated with that and show loyalty to that whatever city is developing you. And I think what ends up happening is you forget about Boston, and so you got these people who are going to LA and they're from Boston, but Boston never gets the love for it, even though the talent was like born and bred there. And I think, you know, what I'm interested in this digital age, in this internet age, and creating creating visibility for myself here. And you know, like traveling where I need to travel, but for me it's like Boston taught me how to see the world, like taught me how to be in the world, like raised me up when I was down, kicked me down when I was down, and it's like that's who I am and that's where I'm from. And so I feel like I can't detach myself from that, and I would rather be a Boston artist for the rest of my life than to go somewhere and forget about people in the communities that like raised me, you know?
Brown girl, thick waist with a smile up on my face, nigga. Tell him I deserve that. The house on the hill, savings well above $1 million, nigga. Tell him I deserve that. I see my name up in lights, ran around like Tyson, and I bite like a
I just want to continue to be a better artist, like every trip. Like I want to be able to be limitless, and I want to be unafraid, and I want to evolve as a human, and I want that to be reflected in the art. I think that in a lot of ways, the stories that I talk about in November 3rd, like I'm still processing those things, like, and I'm still processing the different facets of those stories and the different things that made them happen, and like all the different places that I've been, like, you know, some of that, and then like even I'm processing like what's happened since then up until now. But I think in a lot of ways, some people have heard November 3rd, and I think that they have like rendered me safe, or they have rendered me something that doesn't feel an accurate depiction of who I am, and where I am in the process of like understanding my life. And so I feel like this album is very much me like going back in and digging out the ugly shit. It's like taking out some of that ugly stuff and like putting it on the table and being like this is who I am too. Like, you know, I'm not just your like bubbly, like hopeful, soft rapper. Like I also I'm from Roxbury, I'm from Academy Homes. Like I'm also, you know, like all of these different things. And so like I think it's a little more in your face than the last one was. Also experimented with some sounds and like my voice. That's kind of like what it sounds and feels like, but it's also like there's a character from Set It Off that I really love, Cleo. So I just came from a photo shoot actually, which is funny. But Cleo in the movie, she just appears as violent. So there's 4 women, and you get the backstories to the 3 feminine bodied people's life. You get to understand who they are, what their backstory is, and where they come from, and why they're trying to go where they're trying to go. Cleo, her only thing in her story is that she's a gay woman. And other than that, she doesn't have a backstory. She just shows up as angry and violent. She dies angry and violent. And even her partner doesn't have a single word written for her in the entire movie. She doesn't say not one word. She's a feminine body woman, doesn't say not one word. And so I was interested in, I felt really like a close connection to that character growing up and didn't know why, and I still do. And it keeps coming back to me. When people used to try to insult me in high school because they understand how to like deal with queer people, they used to call me Cleo. And I was like, man, come on, whatever. But the point is that I was trying to like think about my connection to that character, and I was like, you know what, like people have said that I show up angry, or like I show that I'm just this thing in this box. And so I was interested in like what would it be to tell her backstory, and what would it be to give her a future, like what would it be like to write her a future. And so I think that's what this album is. Her story feels like it could have been my story, you know. And so like what would it be like for her to actually like live through her trauma. The first hip-hop-esque song that I heard that I remember is Arrested Development, Everyday People. The Metamorphosis mix. I am everyday people. That was my joint. I just like felt so transcendent. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like a lot of joy. It felt like gospel-y. It felt like really black. It felt real like African inspired. Like it just was I don't even know. It was the first one I heard. Cause I grew up on like funk and soul and that kind of stuff. My mother loved the oldies, you know, like she used to have the 45s and the 12, you know, the vinyls, whatever. And that's all we used to like hear, you know, rarely the radio. I don't even know if I remember a radio, but it was always that. So that was what I grew up listening to. And then you like reggae and Bob Marley, stuff like that. And then when I heard this, I was like, what's that? Yeah. And so the rest is history. I just kept listening.
Hey, you know I can't swim. I'm barely flowing, hoping throw me in the deep end. All the soap for me to bend it, man, they got me so thin and telling me I look dope. They don't know I'm so sick, they don't know shit.
I'm just really shy. I've been shy my whole life. Like my mother, when she used to throw house parties, or if there was any kind of party, even to this day, I really don't dance. I just play like I'm just too cool, but I really just don't dance. I'm shy. But I used to go behind the door. Like I would go in the room behind the door, and that's where I would dance. Or that's where I would sing the song. Other than that, I was like in the corner quiet. And I think the older I get, the more I come back to that. But the point is that I've always been really shy. I love music, like taught myself to like play a little piano, and like I used to play the drums in church. Then I was too nerve-wracking, but I would always write poems and like songs to myself, and you know, maybe show a friend or two like, hey, I got this thing. And then finally, I don't know what it was, I was just moved to like do it out loud at a showcase in school. And then that was it. And then I came back, did an open mic here at the Philly Speak It open mic, and I just never stopped. And I just, yeah. So it's been about almost 3 years. You know, I felt like for a long time I was really stuck on this album. So it took a long time to just get into a place. So I didn't get to work with everybody I wanted to work with, but I did get to work with a producer named Rilla Force, Soul Music, who else is on there? Archetype is mixing and engineering. He has 1 track produced. I actually produced 2 tracks on my own from like the ground up, which was really cool.
That's cool.
I'm really excited. One of those songs is probably my favorite. It's the most vulnerable on the album, and it's definitely like my favorite. So that's really cool. And then I work with a bunch of musicians that I know. So like my drummer, Jordan Carter, you know, Antonio on the guitar, and Jim Lee's on there, Mo Pope is on there, Brandy Blaze is on there. I'm missing somebody. Leah Grace, young singer coming up, Tay Chavez, Troy Durden. There's like a bunch of, yeah, it's been really, really cool. Free, who's a poet from Boston, is on there.
Feel for your boy, they always want me to dance. I tell them if the check ain't fat as me, I really can. But if it is, you know I'm hitting that really rough. I hit the bank, the 401k, then I lift my. Really, what did you ask? Can culture vultures get taxed? Black as of Uncle Sam, black as the back.
August 10th, album release at the Sinclair. Gonna have Red Shades, Hefe Replay. Ferdua from Bad Rabbits has a side project called Tides. They're gonna be there. And then I met a homie on tour in Pittsburgh. His name is Benji. He's like killing it right now, and he just has some really dope stuff happening. So those guys are gonna join us. Yeah.
My therapist asked me why I care so much, why I wear so much. Other people's problem who just stare, no touch. And when I'm looking around and I need care, no luck. Ask me if to pay my bills, damn, hold up, Julianne. I'm just in your chair cause my girl said that I can't blow up at therapy. So I tell her that I am grown up, but that don't mean that you can read me like a tarot. But I think you got a point, I think I'm kinda annoyed, cause now I got a problem.